DMK is the world leader in paramedical skin revision education, with certification programs designed to give licensed professionals a thorough understanding of the skin and an in-depth study of the DMK concept of remove, rebuild, protect, maintain. Created by the botanical visionary Danae Montague King, DMK offers skin revision training and education for all ages, skin conditions, and ethnicities in more than 35 countries, harnessing the body's innate healing mechanisms to change the health of the skin. Learn more at DanaeMking.com. That's DANNEMKING.com.
You are listening to ASCP Esty Talk, where we share insider tips, industry resources, and education for estheticians at every stage of the journey. Let's talk, because ASCP knows it's all about you.
Hello, and welcome to ASCP's Esty Talk. I'm your co-host, Maggie Staszcuk, and ASCP's Cosmetology Education Manager.
And I am Ella Cressman, licensed esthetician and content contributor for Associated Skincare Professionals.
And we're joined by Tracy Donnelly, Executive Director of ASCP.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm so excited for this episode. We are going to nerd out.
We are.
Or you guys are.
So, question for everyone. Could the secret to perfect skin be in our genes?
Yes, probably.
My Levi's?
Well, let's remember, as we talked about in episode 104, we talked about aging. And in that episode, we talked about extrinsic aging and some contributing factors for that, like the sun, which some people argue account for 80 to 90% of aging. Or other studies suggest that our genetics account for 50 to 60% of our intrinsic aging. So outside influences or inside influences.
So for years, Formulators have developed products based on skin type, oily, normal, dry. But recently there has been a shift in thinking, and some brands are beginning to develop their products based on our individual genetic makeup.
Ooh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Just need to pause on that. I'm into that. Okay. I could geek out on this.
Today, we're going to dive into the world of DNA-based skincare.
Fascinating, right?
Totally.
It reminds me of like diet trends when we...
Oh, that's a bummer. I hate diet trends.
Well, if you remember eating right for your blood type.
Yes, I did that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like maybe this kind of diet. I mean, there's how many 9,000 different types of diet. Mm-hmm. This type of diet works better for you because you're an O blood type, or this one is like an A blood type. And so they DNA skincare is looking at, you are this kind of DNA, so you might need this type of skincare products. But just a few notes on DNA. We were born with it. It's nothing that we can really change. It determines the appearance and behavior of our skin. And though we can't change this, we can influence the external factors of our genes and the gene expression and how they're exposed and how to protect them from the sun, stress, and how to give good skin care.
Okay, that is awesome. That will be cool. I'm intrigued. More, please.
Speaking of skin type.
Oh, yes. Skin type. Hey, you guys. I mean, I know that you both know and live in it and breathe in it. Can you do that? Can you live and breathe in an app? Sure. If you don't, you should. What I'm talking about is the ASCP Skin Pro app. That's only for ASCP members. And it is so cool because it has ingredients and skin conditions. It puts it all in the palm of your hand. I mean, what else can I say about it, Maggie?
It's awesome, you guys. You can use it while you're consulting with your clients, doing your analysis. It lists about 53 different conditions. There's over 100 ingredients. So if you need to just quick check yourself and determine if you are right in your thinking, pull up that condition. It will tell you if there's contraindications, how to proceed with your treatment. You can also review your ingredients, pull that same information, determine if your client's condition can proceed with the ingredient or the key ingredients in the products that you're using.
Well, and I even love it because I remember the last time we were talking about it, Ella was saying that she will even just straight up, like, you don't have to keep it your dirty little secret. You can show your client, like, hey, look what this says right here. Like, you can use it as a tool with them.
It confirms your street cred.
Oh, I like that. I think that's a new tagline.
It elevates your influence.
I think it confirms your street cred. Yeah, I like that. Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Okay.
All right. So one concept of DNA-based skincare, some companies are using this by gathering information about your genetic makeup, things like your ability to produce melanin, your collagen degradation, sensitivity levels. And this test is performed by things like a cheek swab, or maybe they're doing blood sampling, and then developing an entire skincare line based on the information that's gathered. So that skincare regimen is very, very specific to you.
Wow. Swabbing my cheek to come up with my skincare plan.
Yeah.
This takes into account intrinsic factors.
Okay.
It doesn't take into account extrinsic factors.
Well said.
So there is, I think in our analysis, we do this not in a DNA level, but we do consider these parts, right? So we're like thinking about lifestyle and asking questions based on what we know now. Right? Like food sensitivities, not necessarily knowing if you're Northern Irish or Southern Irish, for example, not knowing what your 23andMe are. But we know that, hey, you have some sensitivities. This could be, we know that what happens inside shows up outside. So I guess this begs the question, does this approach feel any different from purchasing products based on what you know your skin type is on the outside?
Right. So like if I was a carny, right, and I was working, setting up fairs and working on the road a lot, that's going to be a lot of pollution and things like that I'd be exposed to. So that would be considered my extrinsic.
Extrinsic, yeah.
Okay. Getting it.
Yeah, I think that, I think this is very exciting because it could be, again, like one more tool for us to use. Can you imagine if you're like, okay, as part of your consultation, I'm going to email you the forms and I'm going to send you a kit, like what that would look like in an initial consultation.
I'm going to send you a kit. That's like a doctor appointment.
Swab your cheek. We're going to send it off and then we're going to come in and review it together.
Tell me if you agree with this theory. There are estheticians who believe that, it's not just, here's your regimen and you stay on it for life, right? Not taking into consideration that obviously you age and you're going to change your product line to account for that aging, but also that the skin is going to get used to those products, for lack of a better explanation, right? And so you want to change it up over time. So if you're going to do this test and these are the products that are for you based on your genetics, then that's it, right? That's the end all be all. So,
and scene.
Right? Exactly.
Nice to meet you.
Right? This is it and done. So there's then no altering that regimen.
Like saying, okay, you're only going to use 5% retinol for the rest of your life because you will respond the best to that.
Or is it going to be in your 20s, you're going to use 1%, and then you're going to up it up in your 30s because your DNA shows that your degradation happens most in your late 30s. So in preparing or whatever, I don't know. I'd be interested to find out what that process actually was.
Well, and then even too, like what if, two ingredients would perform better together than separate, or you know what I'm saying? Mixing things together, right?
I guess it depends.
Ella's looking at me like I'm a crazy lady.
I'm thinking
what information is being obtained from this test.
Yeah.
So like to your point, Ella, if they're able to look into the future and say, okay, in 10 years, this test is indicating that, your collagen degradation is this, or we can foresee that your oil production will slow to this, so your regimen will change, then but if it's just that, no, we've determined based on this test that you are oily, you have this, you have this, you have this, so here's your skincare plan. It seems that it's not really that tailored, that you do need the esthetician who can regularly assess this is actively what's happening on your skin today.
And to Tracy's point and to your point, new ingredients come out all the time. So how would we know like what the, new peptides that come out or new plant stem cells that come out? How will we know that data capture in 2022, in 2026 may be different?
Because absorption too, different ingredients are going to, or even carriers are going to absorb at different levels.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not just like, here's the ingredients.
Do they have a site that we can send away to?
There's multiple manufacturers that are doing this.
We should try this and follow up and to see really what the process is, because I'm curious to see if this is just creative marketing, like
which kudos, creative market your brains out.
Yeah, like you don't hear about Eat Right for Your Blood Type anymore. Is it a craze that they're trying to get to catch on? What is it really about? Let's do it. And
Let's do it.
Have a follow-up.
Hey guys, stop. Let's take a quick break.
Estheticians looking for their skincare and lash and brow products should look no further than Universal Companies. Why? We have licensed pros on staff, so when we test products, we know that Estes can trust them. And we provide a one-stop shop for everything you need, from cotton rounds to serums to microderm equipment and more. ASCP Esty Talk listeners can save 10% on a minimum order of just $99 on select brands. Simply go to universalcompanies.com/ASCP.
Let's get back to the conversation.
What we do know is a question. A question is, can products actually alter your DNA to prevent aging?
Ooh.
And the answer is kind of. So do you know what a telomere is?
I've heard the word before, but I just play one. I'm just a scientist on TV. I just play one.
It's a very fancy way. So a telomere, the telomere is like the end cap on the DNA chain. So it's kind of like on your shoelaces. You know that plastic piece on your shoelaces? It holds it in there so you're able to lace your shoes up really well.
Yes.
But it also keeps your shoelace from fraying.
Mm-hmm.
So that's telomere.
That's a good
It
example.
keeps your DNA from fraying. What? With intrinsic and extrinsic factors, mostly extrinsic factors, and duplication, the telomere shortens each time it's duplicated or influenced. And some things speed up that shorten, like sun, for example, or free radical damage. Anytime that the cells have to reproduce so fast, there could be a shortening. And once it's gone, it's gone. And when it's gone, then your DNA is vulnerable to fraying.
Is that when you get cancer?
Yes, potentially.
Okay.
Or other kind of rewriting the code.
Mm-hmm.
You can rewrite your book.
Okay.
And so the goal is to keep those telomeres as long as possible, for as long as possible in life. This is why stress-free is encouraged. This is why we meditate. This is why we go for walks. This is why we eat rich, vitamin-rich foods. And this is why we put good skincare on our faces.
I wish that I could swab my cheek every week to see how long my telomere is.
Maybe it's coming.
Okay.
But in the meantime, there are these products or these ingredients that help keep it longer for longer.
So what Ella is getting at is known as epigenetic skincare. So this is still in its infancy. It's based on the concepts that ingredients can, in theory, alter our gene behavior. So there's a lot of analogies out there. You can think of this like a dimmer switch, turning that gene behavior up or turning it down. Or another analogy that you can think of is our genes are like the keys on a piano. We have all of the keys, but it's just which keys are being played at that moment.
I found a really good definition of epigenetics too.
Oh yeah, share with us.
It's the study of changes in organisms caused by modification of gene expression rather than the alteration of genetic code itself. So it's the way, in other words, it's how the message is translated down or up. So it's kind of like, imagine how the tone is translated. So imagine someone speaks German.
Okay.
And someone else speaks Spanish.
Latin. Okay. Spanish.
Latin.
Yeah.
And so how those are translated to come off, let's just say in English, one person is saying, no, that will never happen. And you could tell them to go take a hike. And the translator can say verbatim that, or they can say,
I thought you were going to say it.
No. Or they could say, we're not sure that that's going to be in our best interest. So we might take a pass unless you have a better offer. So it's like one's inflammatory and one's not. And so the translation of a less inflammatory way would be an interruption or an influence in the expression.
Yeah, so to relate this to skincare, if you carry the DNA for freckles or for melasma or rosacea, for instance, Tracy.
As she's pointing at my face right now.
Epigenetics can turn the dimmer switch up or down for presenting those conditions on the surface of the skin.
Okay. Well, I'd like to turn it down, please.
Yeah, and that's what these ingredients do now. And as Maggie mentioned, they're in their infancy.
So it's not like, oh, we're going to put this on because it calms your skin and it takes the redness out. It's literally going to like shut it down at the source.
It changes the tone of the translation.
Nice.
Or like as she says, it dims it from to hey.
Wake up, everyone. That was Ella.
You're welcome. Sorry, I was overtaken by analogy.
That was good. I like it. I don't want it to be like,
So what are the benefits of these epigenetics? The benefits are that they help the body help itself, and that helps to regulate processes that occur naturally in the skin. So when we think of cell proliferation or natural exfoliation, that it would go at a more normal cadence or a more youthful cadence, if you will. Or if you think of sebum production, oil production, it's the Goldilocks, just right. Not too much, not too little.
You know what I'm thinking about while you're saying this is that I wonder how if this really takes off and we start seeing this as a big, not even a trend, but just a way to treat, does that change a lot of that cosmetic surgery, more extreme med spa type of treatments, right? Like maybe you aren't peeling your face off every day because you don't need to, because you've dimmed it and kind of brought up the goodness. So you're not aging as fast.
I think the definition of has changed. And I think we see that now. And I think they called it, there's a guy that stopped by the shop.
Anti-aging?
No. That's a 4-letter word.
Okay.
Check out our episode.
Well, that's right.
No, it's called prejuvenation rather than rejuvenation.
Okay.
Yeah, so they've recognized it. This was a laser rep that came in.
Oh, I love that prejuvenation.
So he came in and they're recognizing that it's a lot less reactive. Our industry is a lot less reactive and a lot more proactive, and it's evidence in even these epigenetic ingredients is that they're proactively maintaining the length of the telomere, if you will, or keeping these cells healthier, these DNA chains healthier for longer than before, where they were like, great, now what? We're going to burn it off, cut it off,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like, eat right now so you don't have to take tons of medication later. You know what I'm saying? It's like our parents' generation was like, I mean, at least my parents, I don't know about yours. They carry like a suitcase around full of pills, like so many pills. And then they like lay it all out because they're reacting, right? Versus this gives you that opportunity to be proactive. It's like taking vitamins versus pills.
And there's a whole, the newer generation, the people in their 20s now are not going to have the same procedures, the same frequency, this is not your mother's peel.
Wow.
They're having self-care. They're seeing the value in facials instead of the people my age who saw the value in peels in a reactive way.
This is so key when people are considering their business, like the life of their business and how they continue to adapt as an esthetician.
Yeah,
it really is. And who their target market is.
Well, I think that all of it too is about educating the client, right? And retail, which we always are stressing. You're going to get the results by using the proper products at home, and you still need to come in for maintenance to see your esthetician. But it's all about the client understanding and what they're doing at home and self-care, like you just said, Tracy.
Boom, drop the mic. I mean, that is it right there. So I love that because the esthetician is definitely still part of the equation.
100%.
I mean, they're going to be evaluating, seeing how your home care, it's just a different type of home care.
Some of the disadvantages, of course, because with every positive, you have to think of the negative. But just to be aware of is that we're not exactly sure at this point, though most of the studies have been positive that maybe there are some undocumented side effects depending on the ingredients. So where some ingredients have been around since 2000, I know of one in particular since 2011 that has been around. And some have been studied as early as 2007, that as it catches on, we need to make sure that these are thoroughly studied.
But that is still so new. I mean, when you start thinking about the ingredients that, we're applying to our face all the time, I mean, they're just versions of what's been around since, the 1800s, right?
Or longer.
Yeah, or longer. And so, I mean, that's like baby. This is like a little tiny new baby thing.
Yes. And for that, like to your point, we have limited research on them. We have white papers that you can definitely ask for the companies that you that are having these ingredients. But
what's an example of an ingredient? I feel like you're tiptoeing. It's killing me. Like the fact that you were like, I know one.
No, I know several, but there was one that the first one that ever came out is used the example of telomeres, and it was used in a sunscreen in a brand. They use them like peptides.
Okay.
So Royal Epigen P5 is one, for example.
Okay.
And that's a more recent one.
Are they trademarked? Is that why they're specific to certain brands?
I believe so.
Okay.
It's kind of like BVOSC is the trade name for lipid-soluble vitamin C.
Okay.
But many companies use BVOSC. So they're peptides, and they do have like brand names, and they have these brand names that are incorporated by brands in their formula. But oftentimes they'll call them their inky name versus their brand name.
Okay, well, because I know everyone is like, come on, Ella, tell us what the name is. They're screaming at their radio.
There's a lot of different ones. I don't want to say that's the only one, but Royal Epigen P5 is one, for example. And it works like to mimic the benefits of royal jelly honey.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So in the skin specifically, the way that it works is it works to calm and soothe. So it's calming and soothing the process that would normally have that to happen.
But that's not necessarily going to keep your telomere long.
Yes.
It will. Okay.
Because inflammation shortens telomeres.
Okay. Yep. Got it.
Okay.
Thanks. I just needed that circle back.
Not all anti-inflammatory agents address telomeres specifically.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So even though some companies are including ingredients that affect gene behavior, it's not like we can claim, hey, this product works on a genetic level. And that is because that function falls into a drug category potentially.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So,
out of scope.
Yeah. It's just a different regulation. So different requirements for packaging and testing.
Well, and when you're altering the function of the body, that is the function of a drug, not a cosmetic.
Mm-hmm.
So you could potentially.
So that would be out of scope. Yeah.
Well, salicylic acid is a drug. And you just list it on there.
Are we going to get in a fight today?
Yeah.
Is that what we're going to do? We're going to just fight it out? Just kidding. That's our fun.
It just happens to be how you can say that it works.
Okay.
Now, listeners, we want to hear from you. Could the secret to perfect skin be in our genes? Share with us on social media by commenting on our Instagram or Facebook posts, or by emailing getconnected@ascpskincare.com. Thank you for listening to ASCP Esty Talk. And for more information on this episode, or for ways to connect with Ella and myself, or to learn more about ASCP, check out the show notes.
Thanks for joining us today. If you like what you hear and you want more, subscribe. If you want to belong to the only all-inclusive association for estheticians that includes professional liability insurance, education, industry insights, and an opportunity to spotlight your 6 skills, join at ascpskincare.com. Only $259 per year for all this goodness. ASCP knows it's all about you.